So I read a lot of series. According to my spreadsheet for 2020, 76.2% of what I have been reading have been part of series. So I wanted to update you on which series I have completed this year and which ones I've caught up in, meaning I've read all of the currently published books in that series. Last year I made a video talking about some of the series that I wanted to finish, and I will say that I have continued or finished all of the books that I've mentioned in that series that I've been able to because I put Kingkiller in there, and we obviously don't have a third book for that, so I couldn't continue that, but everything else I did continue in or finish. Really quickly, there are two series that I mentioned in that video that I did already finish last year, so I won't be talking about them in this video. Those are the Riyria Revelations by Michael J. Sullivan and the Howl's Moving Castle series by Diana Wynne Jones. If you want to see my thoughts on those, I'll link some old wrap-ups from last year when I talked about them. Similarly, for a lot of the series here, I just recently reviewed a lot of them in my most recent wrap-up that was split into 4 videos, so I will try not to talk too long about everything. I've found that whenever I try and make a video and I start talking about books, everything ends up being a wrap-up and I go into very minute detail that I didn't really need to go into because I've gone over it all before. So instead of wasting your time repeating everything over, I'm going to link a bunch of wrap-ups and reviews where I've talked about all of these series, and I will try to stay succinct when I'm talking about them today. So I'll be talking first about all of the series I've completed. 2 of them are rollovers from last year, and the rest of them I started and completed this year. The first one is the Winternight Trilogy by Katherine Arden. This was in my 20 books to read in 2020, and I'm very glad I finished the final book in this series. This is about Vasya, who lives in historic Russia, and she can see all of the different creatures of Russian folklore. She kind of has a romance with a frost demon. She protects her land from foreign invaders and also from very malicious spirits. This trilogy was a lot of fun. Once we actually got a plot moving, it was really entertaining and I was very invested. I liked the characters well enough. It was a pretty good storyline. It's pretty YA, but also very entertaining. I mentioned this in my Books That Will Transport You to Another World video, where it has the most beautifully descriptive writing that will absolutely encompass you and bring you to this frigid, chilly, wintry Russian countryside, and I love it so much. My favorite part about these books is the atmosphere and the setting. I also really enjoyed the folklore elements. I love learning about folklore from different cultures, so that part was also really, really good for me. I would definitely recommend these books if you haven't picked them up already. Story is fun and very satisfying at the end, and I loved the setting and the writing. I also finished the Queens of Renthia series by Sarah Beth Durst. This was also in my 20 in 2020, and this is set in a world where the people live in the treetops and they are surrounded by nature spirits, but the nature spirits are very destructive and basically just want to kill humanity, and the only reason they don't is because of the power of the queen. I really loved the first book in this series. I was fascinated by this world and I really enjoyed the characters, but every subsequent book has just let me down more and more. The second book was fine, but I ended up really not liking the third book at all. I think it's difficult to build a believable plot when basically none of the actions have any consequences in this world. When there's no repercussions for anything, it's kind of hard to actually care about the welfare of these characters because you just know they're gonna be fine because nothing truly bad ever happens. There is death in this book, and it doesn't feel like it's important at all. It completely loses its weight because everything else just doesn't match up. It's really weird. I still absolutely love this world. I think it's fascinating. I loved learning about how these people live in the treetops and how they like zip line to get to where they want. That's so cool. But because of some issues with the writing, it just sucks the enjoyment out of these books. So I wouldn't really recommend it. Maybe if you're very interested in this world, which I don't blame you, it's really cool, you could start with the first book, but I wouldn't recommend going from there. There was just so much potential. There were so many cool things you could have done, and it just didn't live up to it, and I was very upset. And then moving into series that I both started and finished this year, the first one is a reread of one of my childhood favorites, and that's The Doll People by Anne M. Martin, Laura Godwin, and Brian Selznik. This is about a world where dolls are alive and basically their adventures as they're hiding from the humans. I really enjoyed my reread of the first book. The second book I wouldn't recommend as much. The first book is good for any audience. It's very entertaining. It's an adventure story as they go on this hunt to try and find their missing aunt. And they're sneaking around the human house, making sure they're not seen by the cat or by any humans, and trying to figure out what happened to this doll. It's so much fun and so entertaining. The second book was not quite as engaging, but still good for a young audience, but I would still recommend the first book for anyone, really. Another series that I started and finished this summer was the Daevabad Trilogy by S.A. Chakraborty. I love this series so much. This is one of my new favorite series, and I have been talking about it non-stop in my videos. This is about Nghi, who's a con artist in Cairo, when she accidentally summons a Jinn warrior and gets swept away to the magical city of the Jinn called Daevabad. When she gets there, things go crazy because of who she is and who her companion is, and it's so much fun. I say that, but it is also very dark, especially the last book. This has magic and history, backstabbing, scheming, political intrigue. It's very intense, and it's a wild ride from start to finish. The characters are so lovable and yet so tortured. The last book is absolutely harrowing. The first book is magical and beautiful and lush, and you just want to go to this world and you feel like you're in it. It's so good. There are so many complicated questions with no easy answers. Everything is layered, everyone is layered, and it's so well developed. I honestly don't know how to talk about this book without just raving forever, so we're gonna cut it off here. If you want to see more of my thoughts, there are a ton of videos where I talk about it, but it's one of my new favorite series. I'm so glad I read it this year, and I would definitely recommend it to everyone. Please pick it up. It's so good. And then the last 3 series that I started and completed this year are all romance series. The first one being the Brother Sinister series by Courtney Milan. I love the series so freaking much. These are all historical romances set in Regency England, and they are so good. The writing in this is fantastic. It really immerses you in this setting and this time period, as well as the romance just being so adorable in each one. The characters are very lovable, and you really root for all of their relationships. And each one also tackles a topic that's much deeper than the romance itself, which I very much enjoyed. These are fun and lighthearted, but they also pack a punch, and I really, really enjoyed them. I love Courtney Milan's writing. Her relationships are just so good. Her character dynamics are fantastic. Courtney Milan is one of my new favorite authors, and this is such a good series, especially for starting as well. This was the first adult romance that I ever read, and it was fantastic. I also read the entirety of the Reluctant Royal series by Alyssa Cole. This one is contemporary, and the first one has to do with a girl from New York finding out that she is the betrothed of an African prince. These are all super fun as well, very funny and lighthearted, and also very sweet. Alyssa Cole has a really amazing grasp on characters. All of her protagonists are very unique. They have their own voices that they think and talk in, which just makes each romance that much more individual and interesting. I really enjoyed all of these books. I completely flew through the series, and I can't wait for more because there's a spin-off that I am excited for. And lastly, I read a 2-book series, which was The Marsdens by Sherry Thomas. The first book, Delicious, I absolutely loved. The second book, Not Quite a Husband, I absolutely hated. These were very distinct stories. They're only minorly related, but I did not care for the second one at all. I thought it was so long and boring and just not good. The first one I really, really loved. It's full of scandal and drama, and it's so good. Food. There's so many good descriptions of food. It's so delicious. Sherry Thomas has been very hit and miss for me. With this series in particular, I would recommend reading the first one as a standalone and just forgetting the second one even exists. So those are all of the series that I've completed this year. Moving into the ones that I have caught up in, though this one technically has an asterisk because I'm not sure about it. The Tensorate series by J.Y. Yang, I have caught up in all of the 4 novellas that have been released. However, I did hear that they were writing a full-length novel for this series, but I haven't been able to confirm that at all. I haven't seen anything about it online, so I'm not really sure if that's true or not. So I may have completed this series if it's just 4 novellas, but if there is going to be a full-length novel, I haven't read that yet, obviously, so I've caught up in it. But if you have any information on that, please let me know because I have no idea. I can't find anything about it. This is an Asian-inspired fantasy with magic and a world that's run by a tyrant. It's kind of hard to explain because it's very complicated, and also the novellas are kind of disjointed. They're all told in in one, different writing styles, but also two, different perspectives. So it kind of has an overarching storyline, but it doesn't really follow quite chronologically. Or it does, but like not in a continuous way. It's very confusing. I really enjoyed it. I liked reading them. I definitely like certain novellas more than others, but this world is really interesting. It's kind of steampunky, I think, and it's not really something that I'm used to seeing, especially in an Asian setting. Asian steampunk I am not exposed to at all, so that was really unique. It's slightly harder to connect to characters in this just because they are novellas and it's such a short time and you're jumping perspectives in each one, but I am still glad I read it, and if there's going to be a full-length novel, I will be reading that too. Another series that kind of has a little disclaimer is the Poppy War series by R.F. Kuang. As of the filming of this video, the third book, The Burning God, is not yet out, but it is coming out very soon. So technically I have caught up in the series and read everything that's currently out. This is another Asian fantasy that follows Wynne as she tries to escape her abusive home in order to get into the most prestigious military school in the land. But partway through her studies, her country actually ends up going to war and she gets to see firsthand what she's been studying for. These are brutal and dark, and I was so intimidated picking up the first and second books. And not any less so for this third book. I'm sure it's going to destroy me. So while I am excited for it, I am also terrified. I love the Asian representation in the world. A lot of it is based on Chinese history, so I also am really enjoying learning more about history, and in an area that I don't really have much experience in. I've always been interested in Chinese history, but it's just not something that American schools really teach, especially the things that R.F. Kuang goes over, because it's brutal and they tend to be glossed over in classes because they're war atrocities. No one really wants to cover it, but it's so important that we do, and I'm glad that I'm learning more about it through this book. Also, just the plot is fascinating. I want to know what happens, and I want to know what happened in the past to make everything the way it is. It's so intriguing, and while the characters aren't exactly likable, I still want to know what happens to them, and I will be reading the third book when I get over my fear. I've also gotten caught up in the Wayfarers series by Becky Chambers. I've read the first 3 books, and there's going to be a 4th book coming out early next year. These have been pretty hit and miss for me, probably just because it's sci-fi. These are all very slow-moving, character-focused stories set in space, and it's full of aliens and interspecies relationships. There aren't really many plots in these books. It is mainly focused on the character development. In theory, I should love that. In practice, I only really loved the second book. The first one was okay, and the third one I didn't really care for. I'm thinking sci-fi just isn't really my thing, but I will continue to give these books a try whenever she comes out with one. They're pleasant enough to get through, and they're very diverse. They have some really nice representation. They're just not some of my favorites. And the last series that I am technically caught up in, because there's only one book out and I read it, it's the Singing Hills series by Nghi. The first book is The Empress of Salt and Fortune. It's a novella actually, and I really enjoyed it. It's another Asian fantasy. I am very much enjoying my Asian fantasy, but this one was so interesting. It was kind of confusing, but in the most beautiful way possible. It's about this empress's life, and it's so interesting seeing her history and what she did and what happened to her, and I really enjoyed the writing in this. It was so lyrical and lush in a way that I absolutely love, on top of the Asian world that of course I'm gonna love too. So I'm very excited to continue in the series. I'm very curious where it's gonna go from here. So those are all of the series that I have completed or caught up in so far in 2020. I am still working my way through some other series, so my next video in this little mini series is gonna be about all of the book series that I am continuing in and plan to eventually finish. How many times can I say series in one sentence? But let me know which series you've completed this year that you've absolutely loved. What is your favorite series that you finished this year? I am very, very curious. Do you finish series? I found that a lot of people on BookTube have a hard time actually completing series. Is that you? Is it not you? Let me know. I am curious. I love book series. Obviously, it is most of my reading. Anyway, that's it for now, and I will see you later. Bye.